Local and live, covering Franklin and Washington counties, it's Let's Talk Tri-State with Tiny and Katy.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Tri-State, powered by HomeRight Windows and Doors in Waynesboro, the right choice. Winner in the 2024 Best of the Tri-State Awards.
Jason Morris is our first guest today, the owner of Teflon Roofing. Thank you so much, Jason, for being here with us today.
You're welcome. Thank you guys for having me.
As we're getting into the winter months here, what do you find is the number one question that you hear about roofing?
The number one, I guess, would be the roof maintenance. How to not only keep it intact for now, but prolong the life of the roof. And going into the wintertime, obviously keeping the roof free of debris. The big thing in this area is going to be like the gutters, keeping the gutter debris out of there, any of the pine needles, things like that. And just basically doing like an overall visibility check for the roof. And we understand, like, homeowners don't really know what they're looking at a lot of the time, and being able to compare with your neighbors and then look at yours, making sure you don't have any shingles that are missing, no caps that are blown off the property, things like that, is really going to help propel the roof longevity throughout the wintertime. So that's probably the number one thing that people should look out for.
Could somebody call you to come and take a look at their roof and just say, give them some feedback as to how it's looking and if they need any maintenance before the winter hits?
Absolutely. Any local roofing company should be able to do that for you. And preventative maintenance is huge because we see all the time, like, homes don't have proper ventilation. And if you don't have proper ventilation on your roof, that's going to significantly shorten the lifespan of your roof, regardless of what any warranty says. And homeowners should really look at the warranties that they're given, because a lot of those warranties have in the small writing that you need to reapply sealant every 10 years. And that's something that homeowners don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
And we tell anybody that if your roof is over 15 years old, you need to get an inspection every 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on the company that you go with, they're normally anywhere from like $99 to $199, but you'll get like a bird's eye view of your roof. Homeowners that have drones and things like that could use that as a benefit too, because then they get literally a bird's eye view from being on the roof instead of actually climbing up a ladder. And yeah, that's not a good idea.
No.
And Jason, tell us a little bit about Teflon Roofing and your background and how this business came to be.
It originally started off, it was for overall health, believe it or not. I'm a huge fitness advocate, and we just kind of adapted that same mentality into being homeowner advocates, because there's a lot of scams and a lot of companies out there nowadays that pose as roofing companies, but in reality they're just marketing companies, and they're basically selling your contract to somebody else. And I'm not saying that there's a bad essence there with some companies, but homeowners are being torched. Like, we submitted a proposal yesterday for $12,000, and the next closest price they had was $19,000, and we install quality. So there's no justification for a $7,000 increase from what we are offering.
So if somebody is maybe a new homeowner or they're getting their roof done for the first time, what would you tell someone who is shopping for a roofing company to be careful of, or questions to ask?
First is always going to be licensing. Pennsylvania is absolutely horrible when it comes to that, because you, being a talk show host and doing what you do on a consistent basis, you could literally have a legitimate roofing company in Pennsylvania in 2 years. So past that point, I would say look for social presence, Facebook, Instagram, and don't look just for marketing posts. Like, see actual projects where there's 9 or 10 different pictures of each house, because those are the people that are going to be more prone to helping the homeowners, instead of just posting one picture and it being an ad or a call to action. Hey, get $199 a month payment or no interest for 36 months. Those are really the companies that you want to try to stay away from, because those are the marketing companies. Those are the ones that are going to give you the $19,000 price versus the $12,000 price.
And I can imagine, I do own my home, and I just had my roof done last year, actually, in Virginia. And I think that when you hear how much the roof costs, the price can be very shocking.
Yes.
It can be, depending on the house size, obviously, it can be a monumental amount. Do you guys offer any kind of financing?
Yes, we do. I've never been a big fan of that, and I understand that, you know, a roof is the most important thing that you're going to purchase after you buy your home, okay? And a lot of people don't have the money to do that. And, like, we offer that. We offer financing. And that is the big catapult between, you know, being able to afford something that is really good for your home versus you always going with the cheapest person, because from that 19 to 12,000, you'll also have somebody come in at 9,000 and use knockoff generic products, tell you that you're getting a lifetime warranty, when in reality the warranty's only going to be as long as the craftsmanship warranty that you get for your home. So you just got to do your due diligence, read some reviews, see the different pictures, things like that, and then ask around. Like if the company, you've never heard of them before, then you should probably steer away from that regardless of how good the deal actually is, because like they're the only thing more expensive than having a good roof is having to do it 2 times.
Yeah.
And you at Teflon Roofing, do you specialize in metal roofing?
We specialize in anything roofing.
Okay.
So any roofing products, we're not the ones that are going to come out there and doors, windows, siding, you know what I mean? Those are more of the marketing companies. When we first started, I have a huge background in roofing products in general, and set out the first 3 or 4 years of building our company to actually install the product myself. So, I mean, I have over 600 installs with my hands, so there's not too many things that we're going to come across that can't be resolved.
But metal roofing is becoming a more popular thing, yes?
Yes,
and
100%.
What would be the advantages of that?
Metal roofing advantages, number one is going to be the longevity. We use a corrugated panel, which seems to be pretty popular in this area now. The only thing I would challenge homeowners to talk to their roofer about in that regard is the ventilation that they have. Because if your attic's not properly ventilated, those panels are going to create condensation underneath, and you're going to have serious problems in 10 years. And then on the same flip end of that, our manufacturer has a warranty paper that I can give homeowners that say that warranty or the exposed fastener is going to last 40 years. But that's just not the case. That neoprene washer is going to wear, and you're probably looking somewhere around 20 years if the roof's installed properly, to where you're getting having to replace those screws, but then you're 10% the cost of a new roof, and you have another 20, 25 years on it. So,
at what point, if you have a roof, at what point do you get to, if you're missing a couple shingles, where you can just get those replaced as opposed to getting a brand new roof?
That's basically going to come down to why the damage was done. Like if it was a storm that came through and your deductible's not that high, then if it's just a few shingles, there's no really point in filing an insurance claim. Whereas if there was a whole section of your roof that was damaged, then that's a totally different story. But somebody should really call a local roofer and have them inspect that damage before that determination is made.
I want to ask you about something that we've been seeing a lot of now, that's solar panels on roofs. Now, I know you don't install solar panels, but what my question is, every time I see those, is sometimes I see them on a brand new roof, a brand new, beautiful metal roof. How does that work with the warranty, A? And then B, is that something that you think is detrimental to the quality of the stability of your roof? Okay,
so the manufacturers on both sides have kind of more teamed up now, because there's different boots, there's different roofing systems that are coming, and they have to find a way to attach the solar to the roof. Number one would be that the solar manufacturer actually picks up the warranty for the roof on that section. Okay. You know what I mean? So if I come and install a new roof on your house and then you put solar on it right away, I'm no longer responsible for that section of the roof. And
so you can do that, just section out the roof and say, you're responsible for this and I'm responsible for this?
Oh, absolutely. Huh, yeah, because it's actually in our paperwork that if, like, we give the lifetime, I use that because I call it the lifetime lie here at Teflon, the lifetime warranty, and then we have a 10-year craftsmanship warranty. So if anybody steps, like if you call another roofer to come out and do work on our roof that we installed, you no longer have our craftsmanship warranty. You know what I mean? And then the solar is totally different. Like, I highly recommend that if anybody is in and going to do the solar, that you put a brand new roof on your house. Like, we've come across 3 or 4 jobs this year where the roof was shot and they had just had solar installed in the past 2 or 3 years. So now they have to pay the solar company to come out, remove those panels, and then put them back on after we install the roof.
You mentioned earlier about proper ventilation, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what you're speaking of, or the reason for the need for proper ventilation, is because that, if it's an attic or you know, those boards, that roofing is subject to, my goodness, extreme temperature, especially around here. You get extreme cold, you get extreme heat, humidity, dry, so expansion, contraction. Is that why? Because it's just going to really mess with
what a lot of people don't really realize is your home kind of breathes just like we do. So at the bottom of your roof, you have your soffit and you have your eave. And your roof is actually taking in a breath, pulling in air in from that point, and then having proper ventilation on the back end of it at the top where the air is going to escape from the roof. And keeping that air moving in your attic is what is going to prevent against the heat buildup and the humidity buildup. And it's actually going to extend the life of your roof as, you know, if you don't have the proper intake and the proper ventilation on the roof, then you're going to start running into problems, and your lifetime 35, 50-year roof just fell to 20 years because it's going to heat up the underneath of the plywood, and then that's going to transfer to the shingles or to the metal, et cetera.
Wow, there's so much science to it.
Yeah, and do you recommend, if it can be done, if the homeowner can do it, do you recommend fans, or are you okay with just ventilation?
Well, there's several documents that you can research online. Normally the roofers are supposed to do that, and if you get somebody that's local that actually cares, they're going to automatically know what the proper CFM for any fans. But I'd probably say about 50% of the time we recommend solar fans, because the products are changing so much now. They're thicker, they're heavier, there's more there to lose, that they require more ventilation in the attic as compared to roofs of old with a gable fence. Like, gable vents just aren't good anymore. That's not enough ventilation in the air.
What was the word you just said? Cable fence?
Gable vents.
Okay.
They're like, some people won't have the soffit vents at the bottom of the roof, but on both ends they'll have small gable vents.
Okay.
And they were good at the time because you would pull air in from one side the whole way through the other. But now the manufacturers are requiring more ventilation to offer the 50-year lifetime warranty, things like that.
When we start getting into the winter months, do you slow down on roofing jobs because of what the weather could be unpredictable?
Okay, so quick background. The first 4 years that I was actually installing, we installed through the wintertime, but I was supplementing from another company that was giving us the work. In the last 3 years, we shut down at the beginning of November. Unless it's an absolute dire necessity that they get a roof replacement. And the biggest thing there is the roof's not going to adhere properly. If you get a roof installed in the wintertime and it's dropping below that 32-degree mark and it's freezing, the adhesion that's on the back of the shingles, regardless of what shingle that it is, isn't going to mat to everything else properly. And that's probably the number one, because then you're getting wind blow off, you're getting shingles blow off, you're getting caps ripped apart and things like that. Plus, setting the product on the roof, like a lot of companies will deliver a day or two before, and you're having shingles set up there curled over top of your roof for 2 days while it's freezing outside, and that's just, yeah.
What is I'm sure it obviously varies depending on the size of the house, but what is the average timeline that it takes from start to finish to get a roof done?
Most of our projects, I'd say 99% of our projects go in 1 day.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, if it's an absolute necessity, obviously metal's going to take longer. When you get into standing seam, that's a different animal. We had a project down in Carlisle that was just a basic 20-square install, and it took 4 days. So if you're getting a shingle roof, absolutely 100% it'll be done in a day. Some of the metal products are going to take a little bit longer because there's a lot of preparation.
And then you had just mentioned Carlisle. Do you service, what are your service areas?
All of South Central Pennsylvania, and we will be breaking into Maryland and probably parts of West Virginia at the beginning of 2025. So,
oh, great.
Yeah, expanding, growing.
That's great.
If you were going to do your personal roof tomorrow, are you doing metal or are you doing shingle?
I actually am doing my personal roof. Not tomorrow, but in a month.
You could have said it was tomorrow.
Say that was tomorrow.
I'm a huge fan of the metal shingles that they released. I think that's probably, I have more installs with the metal shingles with my bare hands than any other product.
So this is a hybrid, yes? It kind of bridges the gap, am I to assume?
Well, it looks like a shingle, but it's a metal panel. It's
Right.
16 inches by 48 inches,
Okay.
and it's an enclosed fastener. So it's relative to the standing seam, a little bit cheaper than standing seam, definitely way easier to install than standing seam, but it goes down really efficiently, really fast.
I don't think I've seen, if I've seen a roof that has that, would I notice it? Like, would you know that?
It would be off.
Yeah.
Like, it would be more prominent and definitive. We actually just installed one last week in Chambersburg, so if you're in the Chambersburg area and you're listening, just reach out to our office and
You have some pictures online of them.
Yes, not very many.
They're sharp.
Yeah.
Very sharp looking.
Yes, they are. They are. In a lifetime. Like, I tell most of the people we install them for that, if they're 60 years old, their grandkids would never have to replace the roof.
Right.
It's really going to last that long.
Yeah.
And you're saying that for the reason you chose to go the metal shingle route is because of the ease of just replacing one versus whole panels. Is that correct?
Well, if you put a metal shingle roof on your house and there's issues with it, that whole side has to come down. It's not like something where I can pop in and change one single. Okay. No, they're interwoven and they lock in together to each. So there's nothing there that you can actually replace in the field.
But they last longer.
Yes, they do, way longer.
Like 60 years.
If they're installed properly, you could probably push 60 to 80 years.
Wow.
Yeah. It would definitely be the
Wow.
last roof that you ever get installed. If you
Yeah,
do
these
that.
things last so long now that it's just there's no evidence, there's no like scientific evidence or studies. You know what I mean? Because they just a relatively new development, which was an old development. Actually.
Well, and I mean, a lot of the warranties I think that they base off of is watching how the product is actually installed. Like I've done 4 different manufacturers for metal shingles, and a lot of them are not going to hack it. Like in 30 years, they're going to fail. So I probably did a year and a half worth of research, as well as installing 3 different of the manufacturers with my hands. So I knew exactly what to look for. Yeah.
Here's another question though: is when it comes to metal roofs, the one objection that I heard, especially when they started to really come into this area, was I would get one, but it's going to be noisy.
Yes.
How does that work out? What's your response to that?
That really comes down to the installer. Like ours we always put them on wooden slats, so that helps minimize the noise that you're going to have. But if you have a porch or a back porch or maybe a space that's right over top of your daughter or son's room, and you don't have proper ventilation in it, you're probably going to hear that noise.
I find that noise, I worked at a winery for years that had a metal roof. And when it would rain, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved the sound of it.
Soothing.
It was very soothing. Yeah.
So my response would be, if it's something you're worried about and you don't like that noise, I wouldn't.
Maybe not
you know
the
what I
route to
mean?
go.
Get some
Yeah,
shingles.
because you can get a shingle system, and I tell everybody our roofs, like you obviously get the lifetime warranty, and if everything's installed in our elite package, you're going to get 35 years easy out of it before you have to even think about replacing it. And most people aren't even going to live in a roof or in their houses that long. So
with the last minute that we have, Jason, how can people get in touch with you and find you?
call the office. We also have our website, and then we have social media, Facebook, all types. Like, it's easier to call us directly or send a request through our online, teflonroofing.com, and yeah, we will be back in touch with you within 24 hours.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for spending
you,
some
guys.
time with us today.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
If you'd like to be featured on an upcoming episode of Let's Talk Tri-State, call 717-597-9200 or email letstalk@921thegoat.com.